Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining. Just going to give it like maybe a minute or two since I know we did start a little bit late for folks to roll in, but thanks for coming. Alrighty. I think we can go ahead and get started now since we have a decent amount of people here. Happy Thursday, everyone. I just want to thank you all so much for joining our last workshop of the year. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brianna, and I'm the Outreach Programs Assistant for Mind Out Loud and Wellness Together. And as always, we are super excited to have you here. So, just a little premise for those of you who are new and might want to know a little bit more about Mind Out Loud. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to destigmatizing mental health and providing youth with mental health advocacy resources. And we try our best to create spaces like this to have, promote wellness, mental wellness, peer-to-peer support, and of course, have open conversations and dialogue about mental health. And as always, these workshops are designed to give students the tools and resources that they need to help support themselves and, of course, their peers. Today's session will focus on cultural holiday expectations, and after our presentation, we'll have a Q&A session for you guys to ask any questions that you might have. And without further ado, I'll pass it off to one of our student directors, Alexa, who will introduce today's workshop hosts. And thank you again for being here, and we hope you enjoyed today's session.
Today's speaker will be Dr. Anderson. Dr. Riana Elyse Anderson is an associate professor at Columbia University School of Social Work. She holds a PhD in clinical and community psychology from the University of Virginia and completed a residency at Yale School of Medicine and a fellowship at the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Anderson focuses on healing Black families through research, clinical services, public engagement, teaching, mentorship, and policy advocacy. Her work employs mixed methods to study discrimination and racial socialization with a particular interest in family-based interventions that support Black youth's well-being and health behaviors. She developed Embrace, Engaging, Managing, and Bonding Through Race Intervention, and is CEO and founder of Race Space Inc. Known for translating her work for diverse audiences, Dr. Anderson shares her insights via blogs, videos, and articles. Her early career has been distinguished by over 20 national awards, including honors from SRA, SRCD, APS, and FABBS. A Detroit native, she is also a self-proclaimed K-pop enthusiast. Dr. Anderson, we are so happy to have you here, and I'll now pass it on to you.
Thank you so much, Alexa and Brianna. And hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm super excited to be with you today. So let's just jump right in. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And while I'm doing that, I would love to know where folks are joining us from. So go ahead in the chat. Let me know where you are watching from, please. And thank you. All right. Okay, San Diego, California. Okay, California. We out here, North Carolina. Hello from Houston, H-Town. What up? All right, keep them coming. I would love to see where everybody's from, but just gonna jump in. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get started with cultural holiday expectations, where we're navigating joy, identity, and challenges with each other. You can call me Dr. A, and I'm excited to dig into some of these things with y'all. And what's up to the Northeast? Hello, New Jersey. Let's get in there. All right. Okay, so I want to welcome everyone. We know that holidays can bring joy, connection, and celebration. So before we go to some of the challenges, let's find some of the things that connect all of us. So I have just a smattering of some of the holidays that folks may be celebrating, but I just want you to get in that chat again and tell me what you're celebrating, observing, or acknowledging this holiday season. What are some of the things that you all are getting into with friends, family, or yourself? Okay, Hanukkah. Christmas. And it could be a combo. I know there's like Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. I know, there's folks might be doing multiple things at once, but I see Christmas again. I am really excited as people are writing in the chat. I'm super excited to be celebrating Christmas. I'm giving you my best Mickey Mouse sweater with the Christmas tree, and also Kwanzaa, and also New Year. So I'm really excited to celebrate those three things. I also love a good Secret Santa with friends. I love a good super cheap one where you have a $1 limit and you try to go to the 99-cent store, you see what you can collect. It's a lot of fun. So thank you for dropping those in the chat. And so, yes, we know that there are yes, I love a good white elephant. We know that there are lots of things that can bring us joy, connection, and celebration. And it's really important to be mindful of what those things are before we get into some of those challenges. So love what you all have already acknowledged that you're observing. Okay, but sometimes experiencing some of these expectations around culture and celebration can be a lot of pressure. So it might be about meeting family or community expectations, what our family wants us to do, how they want us to show up, what types of celebrations they want us to engage in, what our community may put upon us in terms of pressure and stress. So it's really important to know who we are and what we're about with what our communities and what our families are asking of us. So how do we balance those things? And in doing that, it might be something that you find difficulty in with maybe what you have to wear to some of these events, or some of the rituals that happen in your religion or your practice, or even within your family, what they're asking you to do. So these are some of the ways that you might be experiencing some pressure or stress. Now, I'm going to talk with you a bit more, but feel free to use that chat. If anything resonates with you, feel free to talk to me about what you're experiencing, but I'm going to keep moving from this slide. So again, feel free to use the chat as a way to communicate during our time together. Now, Alexa introduced some of the things that I'm interested in and what I study as a researcher. And one of those big things is discrimination and how we go about navigating discrimination. So I don't want to just think about that we face it, but what do we do with that discrimination is really what I'm ultimately interested in. And it's interesting, you wouldn't think like, oh, let's talk about discrimination during the holidays, but really discrimination and microaggressions don't pause just because it's a holiday. And in a lot of ways, it might be even heightened, right? So you might be feeling excluded or misunderstood in mixed settings. So if you're wearing something that shows your culture, your faith, your tradition, and other people aren't a part of that, they may slight you. So it might be a quick glimpse and a look away. It might be a verbal, discriminatory statement. So people really might actually even experience heightened discrimination at this time. So I'm really curious, and I know there's only a few of us present today, but I'm really curious what you think the impact is on your mental health and sense of belonging when people say something or do something about you, your culture, your religion, your practice. What might happen to our mental health when discrimination happens? Feel free to drop in the chat what you think happens to our mental health. All right, so certainly we can get sad, we can go into panic mode for sure. Love these thoughts, absolutely. We've even got like the little, I know they're not emojis, but we've got the little keyboard indications of sadness and panic. I love that. So yeah, we can have feelings of self-doubt. I really appreciate that. Yeah, if you're someone who absolutely thinks that, as we just said on some of the prior slides, right? Like we're super excited to celebrate some of these things. And it sounded like we were doubling down, 10 toes down. Like, yes, we're celebrating all of these fantastic holidays. Yes, we're with friends. We're doing these things that feel empowering for us. But when other people have things to say towards us, or other people do something towards us that can certainly make us feel sad, we might feel panicked or anxious in those spaces, and that can be internalized. So when we talk about what's happening within our minds or our bodies, that's self-doubt, that's sadness, that's anxiety, all those things happening inside of us. But it can also be that we are externalizing. We get mad, we get angry, we want to act out, we want to lash out. So it can happen within our bodies and minds and outside of it. And yes, I totally agree. Inclusion is important this time of year. And certainly when we get to some of the strategies, we'll dig into that a bit more. So I appreciate that one. For folks that may not know what discrimination looks like, sounds like, or feels like, there's just a quick video that actually cites some of the work that my colleague and I have done. So you'll see a model that we've created on how having racial stressors like discrimination can impact our mental health for youth of color. So take a quick listen to some of the research that my colleagues and I have put out about this impact.
There are multiple types of racial stressors, and each can significantly impact youth of color. Experiences with racism are often overlooked as a source of stress or trauma. However, research shows that racial stressors are linked to negative consequences for youth of color across development. Several studies highlight factors that can promote or inhibit the effects of racial stressors beyond the individual level and across contexts, including communities and families. For example, we must recognize the impact of historical trauma and consider that a single incident or the accumulation of multiple experiences can become traumatic over time. This can lead to an individual traumatic response with symptoms that parallel post-traumatic stress disorder. It's important to acknowledge the reality of racial trauma for youth of color and the need for prevention, intervention, and healing through various methods.
And again, we're going to get to what those methods are in just a bit, but I wanted to be able to showcase some of the things that we see as discrimination that happen all year long. So it's not specific just to this month or these major holidays. But in New York, for example, we just had a trial that led to this conclusion that was unfavorable for a lot of people with respect to an illegal chokehold on someone on the train. And again, that's something that, as you're thinking about navigating the world around you, just because it's the holidays, those types of things don't stop. But again, when it's the holidays, you're particularly mindful of, what if I'm wearing something, saying something, doing something that makes me look different, that makes me feel isolated or singled out, and what will people do to me? So again, discrimination can have a really negative impact on our mental health and well-being. So it's really important for us to understand, this is how I'm feeling when that happens, and here's what I can do about it. So I'm really grateful that you all have been able to identify sadness, inward thinking, right? So panic or anxiety, self-doubt, those are all things that we might feel. So then the question is, what the heck do we do about it? So when we're trying to protect our well-being, the first thing that we have to know, again, is how does that holiday stress impact our mental health? And I tried to look for some videos. There are tons of videos on just what holiday stress looks like with respect to mental health. I've done a number of these clips myself, and it all comes back to we need time to process for ourselves. We need to potentially step away from some of the activities that we have. And so it's important to embrace and affirm who you are. So this is my identity. This is who I know myself to be, but it can still be overwhelming. So self-care during this season is really, really important. So there's a few things that I dropped here that you might want to engage in to make sure that you're protecting your well-being during these times that can be really, really stressful. So to the left, you see some volunteering initiatives with like between friends. They're serving food at places. So that might be something that you want to engage in. Taking care of others could be you taking care of yourself. That's something that I know I love to do. I try to think less about myself and more about others, particularly during this season. So self-care might be caring for others. It might be journaling. So we see this young person journaling in the middle. That might be something that you're doing more by yourself. And then what has become popularly called of like touching grass or like touching earth, right? Like getting your hands dirty, going into the earth, engaging with living things outside of yourself can be really helpful. So we'll come back to some of the strategies that you all use as well. But here are a few that I wanted to highlight that can really help you to protect your own well-being. Olivia Wilson, this young person to the right, made this statement, and I thought it was really important. And I want to share even some of the ways that I do this for myself with my family during this time. So you have the power to protect your peace. Olivia Wilson said that. I said something really similar to my mom a few years ago. Now, this was not with respect to necessarily cultural stress, but it was with respect to family stress during the holidays. You know, sometimes you want to sit through a whole meal, you want to engage with your family, and it can be a stressful moment. And so you can actually get up and say, I'm going to take my dessert to the other room, or, you know, guys, it's been real. I'm going to grab my yoga mat and go into this corner and just do a few poses because the conversation right now is teetering on something I don't want to talk about, or I'm being asked to do something that feels outside of how I identify, right? So I love Olivia, this young person, indicating that you have the power, and that word power is so important. You have the power to protect your peace. I love that. And yes, agreed. Nothing more stressful than a heated combo at the dinner table. And again, right, like it could be that you are at a place in your own life that differs from what your family thinks you should be doing with your culture, your religion, your practice. And maybe you've been sitting on it the whole year and haven't said anything to them, but now they're really pressuring you at this dinner table. And all you want to do is enjoy your mac and cheese, right? Like that can be really stressful. And so I want to just underscore what Olivia is encouraging us about our empowerment, having that power to protect the peace that we want to hold on to so desperately. All right. And so this buzzword of resilience is something that we throw out quite a bit, especially in psychological spaces. But the question might be, how do we build this resilience? So resilience in a lot of ways is just having the elasticity, right? Or the adaptability to withstand the things that come our way. So I talk about it like a rubber band, right? So rubber bands have this characteristic to be able to be stretched and then to go right back into place. You can wrap it around things multiple times, and when you take it off, it shrinks right back into place. And so it's important for us to think about resilience as a tool, not something that we have to use all the time, but it's a tool, because we also know that rubber bands, if pulled too many times, if wrapped around stuff too much, can lose its form. It can lose its elasticity. So we don't want to rely on it often, but we want to be able to build it in times where we are feeling threatened, we're feeling stressed, we're feeling discriminated against. What does it look like to be able to be adaptive in those moments? So one thing that we know that's very important is to stay true to yourself. So you have to affirm who you are with your values and identity. And that doesn't come by saying it one time ever so often. You have to, I'll be, again, transparent here. I used to have to write things on my mirror, and I recommend this to young people that I work with all the time, with permission if you're living in a house that is not your own. But I use a Sharpie because you can actually take alcohol to wipe it off, like alcohol on a pad, and just wipe it right off of the mirror. You can also use dry erase markers as well. But I have to write, I am, and I'll affirm myself of that identity or that value, or I'll ask friends and family, what do you think of me? And hoping that it's positive, I can write that on the mirror. And so if someone has spoken negatively about who you are, or if you don't know what you're experiencing right now and you need to work it out, I certainly think journals or even the mirror can be a really affirming place to engage in some of this work. So staying true to yourself, discovering, first of all, who you are, but then staying true to yourself, even if people have something negative to say, if they're talking about you and your practice, what can you do to hold firm? The next piece is setting boundaries. Again, it's okay to say no. And I know this generation has done a much better job than mine or other generations in setting those boundaries. So I really respect and applaud your generation of young people who know how to hold a good boundary. So I just want to affirm during this time when it really is often about coming together with family, with community, with a religious group, with a practice, that even at those times, excusing yourself potentially to use the restroom or to get some space, to get some air, can be a way of saying, this is too much for me at this moment, and I need to decline, I need to resign, I need to rest. So be mindful of the ways that you can respectfully but affirmatively set your own boundaries. And finally, in this time, create your own tradition. So someone has already talked about engaging in Secret Santa with their friends. Maybe it's something, especially if you have a friend group that's coming from across different cultures or traditions, maybe you think about what's something that you can build on your own. So something that I acknowledged during the pandemic, the first year of the pandemic in 2020, I said, maybe it's not the year that we all come together to bring the food. Maybe it is the year of ordering a meal and saying, this is our new tradition. On Thanksgiving, we don't have to cook a big meal. And in fact, I found a friend that engages in that same thing for Christmas. So they'll make a big meal on the 24th, and the 25th is leftover day or figure it out yourself day, right? Like it's not a second big meal day. And that was just really nice to be in onesies and PJs and watching these movies on Lifetime and Hallmark, right? All day. Like, what a cool new tradition. So I think it's really important for yourself to know, to be affirmed of who you are, to set those boundaries, and to say within my own self, I'm confident and assured enough to create my own traditions. That's what makes me snap back. That's what makes me adaptable to all of the stress that's around me. So those are some of those strategies to build resilience. Now, I'm old, and so you could take it from me, but I also want you to see it from someone who experienced a setback and wants to tell you about her story of resilience. Now, again, this isn't quite about the holidays, but she even acknowledges that you can take some of these strategies and apply it to any time of life. So take a quick listen to something that happened to this gymnast here.
Some people say you have to be broken to be fixed again. My name is Asha Phillip, and I run. Athletics for me was just a bit of fun. It was something different and it was something new. Trampolining was my main sport and I loved it. And then I fell into double mini trampolining, and then I became a world junior champion at it. I was at the World Championships in Quebec. I bounced up, but when I came down, I didn't land right. I could just hear the crunch. I could just see my leg pointing in a different direction. And I just remember grabbing my leg and then just screaming and screaming. There was nothing holding my legs together. In a heartbeat, everything was just gone. Everything I worked hard for had vanished. Everyone told me I was a write-off. So how does a child of age of 17 get back up? It felt like I'd lost something. I lost a part of me. I wanted to give up. And when you're at the point of just giving up, that's when you're meant to really turn your life around and change. It was my mum who believed in me. And for that, I believed in her. I really do question how I made it out. It was little by little, coming in to do the rehab. Step by step, you started to see improvement. The crutches went away, then I could walk. I was able to jog and then run. But then I had loads of injuries along the way. The only thing standing between success and failure is mental toughness. It's about being resilient. Being an athlete isn't like a normal job. The gym, strengthening, the mind work, the fitness for one shot for 11 seconds. There are a lot of knockbacks, a lot. It's how you handle it. But it's also the most amazing release. I let out all my stresses, all my bad energy. Every time I show up to train, I have the opportunity to learn more about myself and how to run correctly. Some people train brilliantly, but in a race, they don't win. You need focus. You're in an arena of thousands of people, then you're on the start line with 7 other women, then you have a man holding a gun, and you have to learn to channel all this, not panic. But there's so much going on with your family in the crowd, everyone's screaming, wanting you to do well, and obviously they're screaming for the girls alongside you. How do you put that all aside and say, okay, I have to focus on myself, focus on my lane, focus on me. There are sacrifices. There are lots of ways to have fun. Go after your goals and balance it out the right way. In the end, it's about knowing what's important to you and what makes you thrive. That's not just athletics, that's life.
So again, it takes us down this road of something slightly different, right? So we're not talking athletics today per se, but one thing that I really loved about what we just heard, a few things really, this idea of staying in your lane is something that I talk about quite a bit. Like oftentimes we're looking left and right, we're trying to see what other people are doing, and it's okay to understand the cues from other people, to learn from other people. But especially if you're in a race, if you're running and you look completely left and right, you're going to lose focus. You could potentially even harm yourself by looking to see what other people are doing. So you got to know for yourself, I'm running this race, I'm running it the best that I can, I'm doing the best that I can. And during this season where people might put a lot of pressure on you, or there might be feelings of showing up in ways that don't support what you know you have to do for yourself, it's really, really crucial to kind of put blinders up and say, what is it that I need to do for myself to be well at this time? What would resilience look like for me? And not looking so far left and right, or being so consumed by all the things she was saying. You could hear her kind of echo what was around her, her family, the crowd, the arena, all of these things are pressuring her. So what is it like to attune to the voice within ourselves to be able to say, I can hear myself and I know what I want and need to get through this race or this season or this time. So I just really wanted to highlight a few of those things that this video brought up for me, and why I wanted to show it to you all. So thanks so much for listening and watching. Yeah, thank you all so much. It is really interesting, I agree. Okay, so when we're thinking about what we can do if these things start to encroach or creep into our mind, right? So we put up the blinders, we put on the headphones, we've done everything to try to block out what other people are doing to us or saying to us about this time, all the stress that we're experiencing. How do we actually break the barriers of that stress that's kind of coming in on us? So even though it's not my favorite thing to suggest, there are ways that we can help to educate others about the practices that we're engaging in. So if it's a cultural tradition, a cultural practice, and someone tries to talk some mess about what it is that you're doing, you can actually help them to understand what it is that you're experiencing and why you're going into this season with what you're wearing, what you're eating, what you're doing. Now, again, I just want to clarify, it's not something that I want y'all to spend so much energy or time doing that you end up taking on a whole new job, or you've tried to do it one time and they're still talking mess, like you going back and doing it again is taxing for you. So I'm not suggesting that you take it all on all the time, but it might be an opportunity to share some of the traditions or the practices that you have with people who just might not be knowledgeable. So that's one way that we could break down the barrier of the experience that we might be having with other people. That could also be about sharing stories about that cultural tradition, letting others know that you're proud of your heritage. So Kwanzaa is not something that every Black person or other people practice in the United States. But for me, it's something I'm really serious about. And I often have a party for it. I have a friend who's having a party and is asking me to read one of the principles. And it's something I take a lot of pride in. So I'm very pro sharing about what makes Kwanzaa so important for me and why I want to engage in it. And I think the most important thing that we can do, especially at this time where there's a lot of strife and a lot of tension with different groups in the world and what we're celebrating, what we're striving for right now, is being an ally for friends who are facing challenges themselves. So showing up for them, letting them know that they have support, but if they are indicating someone else is talking about them or making them feel uncomfortable, being someone who can intervene, being someone who can do some of the things that steps 1 and 2 indicated, like how can we show up for a friend who may not have the energy, the support needed to do that for themselves? How do we be an ally for them? So these things all take energy for sure, but it's a way of extending the olive branch, extending our understanding to other people so that we can frankly make the world a better place. I know that sounds hokey, but that is my belief, right? And so for yourself, in embracing these traditions that might be all around you, remember that there's a richness to these diverse cultural practices. So asking friends and family and community to talk to us more about why it is that we engage in these practices. Even if you've heard the story a billion times, it can be really powerful to learn why it is that we engage in it. We've talked about inclusivity before in this conversation, but understanding how important it is for people to know who you are, to accept you, to love you, and to understand you. So those are some of the ways that we can embrace our own tradition and others as well. And y'all know that it's important to have some of the things that are even in this video. So joy for me is all about food. In my introduction, you learned cake pops were my jam. So food is definitely a way that we can share the love that we have for each other and our traditions. Music, decorations, you can see maybe behind me, there's all this stuff going on. I love to get with friends and family to decorate and to celebrate. So those are certainly some of the ways that we can embrace the traditions that we have and that we see all around us. And yes, my belly for sure. Joy, joy, joy. Thank you for that. Okay, so we've kind of rattled off a few things, and I know we're almost at time, so we can get some Q&A out here, but I wanted to just compile together a holiday toolkit based on some of the things that we've already talked about and some of the things that you know to be true. So I wanted to just glean a few recommendations for a journaling prompt that might help us to reflect on our identity, some resources that you might know for self-care and mental health support, and any helplines and peer support groups that you may know of. So if you're with us right now, why don't you pick one of these things that you want to share with the rest of the group? So again, it can be a journaling prompt that can help folks to reflect on their identity, a resource that you know for self-care and mental health support, or a helpline or peer support group that you want to drop. Drop that in the chat for us just so we can have a holiday toolkit that can help us over the next few weeks to support each other in our mental health. So take a moment, and when you're ready, go ahead and drop one of those three resources into the chat, please. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Oh, reliable 988 if you need someone to talk to, if you're feeling really overwhelmed. Thank you for that resource. Thank you so much. We've got a Cal Hope link and phone number. Really appreciate that. I'm going to try to write a journaling prompt while other things are coming into the chat. Okay. Oh, thank you. So we've got some journaling prompts. Would younger you look up to you in the present? Love that one. I wrote, I am proud to be Black and celebrate my history with other Black Americans because, and so then other folks can enter in other information. We've got some more phone numbers to contact. Oh yeah, I love that one. The pre-recorded positive messages from kindergartners. I'm writing that down right now. Thank you for that great reminder. It's so sweet. Let me get that number down. Thank you for that. And then journaling for sure as a way to get things written out. Really appreciate those. So keep those thoughts coming. I'm going to just share on that next slide the video that I showed you earlier that had that framework that my colleagues and I came up with. Here are some of the things that they compiled as well, and you'll be able to screenshot this. You can access the PowerPoint after we're done. So don't worry about writing all of this down, but here are just some quick resources. Again, feel free to screenshot, take your phone out, do a quick photo of some of these resources as well, some of these multicultural resources for mental health as well. Okay, so I'm gonna move on in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. And let's get into it. So this is wrapping it up for me, but just to recap again, holidays can be super complex, but manageable with the different things that we've talked about today. Remember that joy comes from celebrating who you are, and you are fantastic and wonderfully made. So I'm excited for your questions, comments, and personal experiences. So let's get into it. Let's talk. All right. So Brianna, I'm not sure. Yep, there you go. Okay, great.
Yes, if there's any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And if you don't want to share them with everybody, you can just write a message directly to the host and panelists if you want to keep that confidential. But that was a great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay. We've got one. What has been your favorite journaling prompt? Ooh. I am not the best journaler, so that's me being vulnerable. But I do read a lot of affirmation. And I'm trying to think if I have the book handy. I was going to run and pick it up. I don't think it's behind me. I don't know. I just moved to New York, so I don't know where all my things are. But there's a book of affirmations that have helped me to do reflections in the morning. So again, not the best journaler, but I do, let me see, I do have, even though I'm not the best journaler, I have mad journals because I think that's just what one does, right? You collect journals, but I love things like this that have guided meditation so that I don't have to be the one to make up my my prompts, and things that just have tons of like different styles of it, because I'm not someone who's going to sit and write a whole journal entry, but I can think through some words that map onto things that I saw or heard or whatever. So I love things like this that give me the option to look at journaling differently. So that's one thing that I really like. And then I do have one other journal, which again, I buy them because I think they're great, but I don't really do them. So y'all are helping me to figure this out. This is a journal that's talking about being imperfect, right? So I'm perfectly imperfect. I just love the title so much. And again, anything that gives me the ability to think about something, to reflect on it, and then to have the prompt, I love. So I can't answer that. It's such a great question. I can't answer it because I don't journal the way that I should, but you're giving me inspiration for 2025. Thank you. Okay, we've got another question. How can we navigate intergenerational differences in cultural expectations without damaging family relationships? My aunt always asks if I have a boyfriend yet. Okay. Yeah, it's always tricky, right? So like you always have that one person who's going to ask something that's super inappropriate or doesn't really relate to the things that you're experiencing right now. And so one thing that my colleagues and I have done in the realm of suggestions is to think about what is possible before you even walk through the door. So for so many of us, what we experience over the holidays is not out of the blue. Like we can guess, grandma's gonna say this thing, Auntie Emma's gonna say this thing, Uncle Jimmy's, like we can guess, all right, this person is probably going to do something that they've done in the past or that is possible in this realm. So really trying to think through, these are the sore spots, these are the hot spots that this person loves to lean into, and what would I want to say or do in advance? So that's kind of our jam, is like trying to predict, trying to have a series of things that we might want to say or do before they even happen. Because again, you don't want to go into a place thinking or feeling like you're hit without warning. So you want to come in with a series of things that you would want to say or do. So I think once you've already established these are the types of things that someone's going to say to me, feel free to write down or practice with a friend or something. This is how I might want to respond, so that you're both being very respectful to this oftentimes elder, if we're talking intergenerational. So if it's an elder and something that they may expect for us, we can say, Auntie, I know it's really important for you to see me happy, and for you want to fold in what you think the spirit is that they're asking about, right? So rather than, I don't have a boyfriend, that's not something that, like, rather than just jumping straight to that, I know that you're asking about this for this reason, and it is very important for our family that these things happen, and this is who I am. So I just love a both and. I love I'm taking in everything that you're saying. This is the spirit of what you're saying. This is what I'm gleaning from it, and this is my truth. So having that both and can be something that, again, affirms you of who you are and helps that elder to feel respected as well. Other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Do I think that social media shapes teens' mental health during the holidays? Y'all, there's a lot of debate on what social media does and doesn't do. And I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that it gives us what I call a bigger lunchroom, right? So when I was in high school back in prehistoric times, when the dinosaurs were roaming, there were very few people that you could compare yourself to, because you were really only at school, and then maybe like a party like in the city, or maybe like the mall, right? So that you only knew of people that were in your eyesight. And in a lot of cases, the lunchroom is where you could see like someone wearing the coolest outfit, or like, they had a new phone or pager or like whatever. I know, again, prehistoric, right? So they are the ones walking across the lunchroom. That's who you can see. What we have now is just a much bigger lunchroom when you have social media. So you can see what someone across the country, across the world is getting for, perhaps a gift, or how they celebrate the holiday. And that might be getting an extravagant present, or wearing something or doing something that just looks so amazing, but you potentially don't have that. And that makes you feel sad. Or again, you internalize quite a bit, like, oh man, now I'm anxious, now I'm sad, now I'm distressed that I don't have those same resources or that same type of life. Conversely, you might have quite a bit. And if you showcase that, people might be hating on you or saying some things that you were just trying to show, like, this is what my life looks like. This is what we do and how we do it. And that can be really tough if you're getting negative stuff in your social media comments or DMs or whatever. So yeah, I do think social media does shape the way that we think, act, and it has to, right? Because it's just expanding our comparison. It's expanding how many people we know and can see, and what that comparison group looks like. So I certainly limit the type of content and the amount of content during the holidays. Certainly as you age developmentally, these types of things that happen, like in my developmental group, it might be about like engagements or pictures of like people expecting a new family, right? It can look very different depending on where you are in life. And I know it's coming. I know on Christmas, there's going to be a lot of that. I know that people are going to surprise their partner with like cars and things like, so I'm like, I'm good on that. I'm not going to hop on Instagram today. I'm not gonna, and I'm too old for TikTok. So, I'm not gonna do these things on these days. I'm gonna protect my peace. I love that. I have the power to protect my peace. I just love that so much. And going on social media during a time where a lot of people are trying to show out is not something that works well for me. So that's my answer there. Yeah. Maybe one more question, if we have it, one more question, comment, or concern, just to wrap up our hour. All right.
Wonderful. So if there's no other questions, I just want to thank Dr. A for giving such a wonderful presentation. I hope that, students, if you're watching this live or watching the recording, you're able to take something, at least a piece of this webinar with you. If not now for the holidays, and even take it with you, as you think for the rest of the year, okay, how can I be more culturally conscious of other cultures that may be different from my own? So again, thank you so much, Dr. A. We appreciate it. And yeah, I'll wrap it up. I hope you guys have a great holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, all the things, Happy
Yes.
Exactly, all of it.
Thank you all. Take good care. Thank you. It was wonderful meeting you all as well, and to hear from you. Have a wonderful holiday season. Happy 2025.
Thank you guys. Take care.